Praise the Lord. My name is Dr. Roosevelt Robinson Jr., and I just self-published a book entitled God's Favor, My Wife. This book was prophesied by my apostle many years ago that said, I will write this book and it will bless many. I want you to go pick you up a copy. This book will inspire you, encourage you, and bless your soul. If you're seeking for salvation, if you're seeking for a closer walk with God, if you're looking for ideas for your youth ministry, if you're looking for that husband or searching for that husband or wife that God has promised you or that you desire, this book will inspire you, encourage you, and help you on your journey with God. Go to barnesandnoble.com, that's bn.com or amazon.com, and pick you up a copy. I guarantee it will bless you. I have shared my experience and my testimony of how I met my wife and we got married, and how I have gained favor down through the years being married to my wife. Be blessed.
Greetings to those of you who are listening and viewing from around the world. Welcome to My Journey with Paula G, where we are juggling this journey called life while each of us are walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. If this is your first time on the journey, thank you all so much for joining us. We are so grateful that you have tuned in or you are viewing. If you are returning, welcome back. It's good to have you back, and we appreciate your continued support. I tell you all each and every week that time is precious. It is the one thing that you cannot get back. So, for you to think it not robbery to spend this time with us, we truly, truly appreciate it. We'd also like to thank and show our appreciation for our underwriters on this journey. Without them, we would not be able to bring you such quality programming. So we thank each and every one of our underwriters. And you know, underwriting is a great way to gain exposure for your business, product, or service while embracing the journey. So if you are interested in becoming an underwriter for My Journey with Paula G, you may email us at jerryroycelive@gmail.com or paula@paulagvoice.com. Please place in the subject line underwriting opportunities, and we will be sure to follow up with each and every one of you. Also, I invite you to stay connected with me via my website, paulagvoice.com, as well as social media across the board: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Paula G Voice, where you can stay connected on the journey as well. Well, before we talk with our guest today, I want to share with you a bit of Paula's perspective. And I have an excerpt here from my book, which is entitled My Journey to Lady Wisdom. Oh, disappearing. My Journey to Lady Wisdom After Midnight, which can be found on my website. Here we go. If you want to change the person that you are today, you must take a trip back through your past. Unlock the doors of hurt, the doors of anger, the doors of bitterness, the doors of unforgiveness. You must unlock all those doors that are harboring debilitating baggage in order to continue to move forward in freedom. I remember working with an administrator at one point, and she would tell us at the beginning of the year that each child comes through the door on the first day of school with an invisible suitcase. And it is our job to unpack that suitcase and to help the child through the 4 years. I was on the high school level, so through the 4 years of high school, navigate what is in that suitcase, unpack some of those things that need to be unpacked, help them to rewrite a new narrative if necessary so that they can move forward in their academic career as well as their personal lives. Each and every one of us comes to the table with an invisible suitcase that is full of the experiences from our past that manifest into our present, whether it's our mindset, our behavior, or what have you. So sometimes we do have to take a journey back to peel back some of those layers of those things that have not healed properly, to rewrite the narrative, to take the opportunity to heal properly so that we can move forward and be free from any of the hurt, the bitterness, the anger, or sometimes the depression. So I would encourage each and every one of you as you say your prayers, that you lift your petitions to the Lord and just ask for help on that journey for healing, because definitely in this day and age, with so much that is overwhelming each and every one of us, we all could use that prayer for a healthier future. So I hope that helped you, and that is Fall's perspective. Well, it is time for our guest today, and our guest today is an author. She's a teacher. She is involved in spiritual wellness, and she's here to drop some nuggets on us today. She is Caterina Orr. Blessings to you, my sister. Thank you so much for joining us here on the journey.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So you've been a busy, busy woman. So first of all, before we get started, tell us a bit about, the theme of our show is juggling this journey called life while walking in the gifts and the talents that God has given us. So share with us a bit of how the last couple of years, because at the time of this particular show, we are still engrossed, shall we say, in a pandemic. So share with us a bit of how you have navigated the last couple of years or so.
Well, pandemic time, I think it was difficult, or and still is in some cases for everyone. But, I was blessed, first of all, with my career, that it was a easy move from office to home. I don't think it was so easy for students because, of course, we had to move to online learning. Um, but I just really took that time to work on me. It was a time where I had an opportunity to write my book or continue to write. I could reflect on my relationships with my husband and my children and my church family. So the pandemic overall it wasn't a good thing at all, but I was blessed to be able to use that time for the betterment of me, self care, relationships, even professional relationships. I was able to navigate those things as a result of the time that was given. Before, I was the interim department head of the African American Studies program at Valdosta State, and I didn't have time to do anything at all. I was kind of put in that position. It was definitely a blessing, but it was a position that I had never experienced before. It's extremely fast paced, and I was hanging with it. But
Mhm.
I think being able to come home like I was, first of all, I was able to appreciate how important it is to take time for yourself.
Mhm.
And secondly, I was able to do those things that I was able to do.
So it sounds like you really utilize that time to regroup, refresh, restore, perhaps rest. And
Yes,
I think for so many, like you said, the pandemic itself was not necessarily a good thing,
right.
but how some of us were able to utilize it, there was some good that has come out of it. So, in your role as an educator at
Mhm.
Valdosta State University, which is located in Georgia, in the
Yes,
southern part of Georgia, my daughter
very
actually
southern.
spent 2 years, freshman and sophomore year, at Valdosta State back in the mid 2000s or so before she transferred to Howard University. It's a beautiful campus,
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful part of Valdosta. Share with us a bit more about what it is that you do at Valdosta State and why you're so passionate about it.
I've been there 16 years, and I actually started out in the English department. And after 4 years, I moved over to the African American Studies program, and I was there for 11 years.
Mm.
And that was the absolute best experience because I was able to influence African American students. Now, of course, it was diverse, and they weren't all African American students, but of course, the majority. And what I learned is those students who took those classes were already very aware of their identity. They were already aware of where they were, or their place rather, in society. So I was taking, I wouldn't say, this ball of clay. It was clay that was already developed and they just needed to be taken into it. I was able to craft a class based on Beyonce's Lemonade uh, visual album. That was great. It got national attention, and we were able to form what we called the sisterhood. No name, no anything, and the only stipulation is, or was, you had to go through the class. And once you went through the class, you were automatically able to join this sisterhood, which grew into this forum we did that was always very well attended, Black Woman's Forum. So, Black images in film, a lot of different courses that I was given the liberty to craft, and they were always very well attended. Definitely passionate about being able to impart that knowledge um, to these, what I like to call half grown, half grown. I'm twice grown, they're half grown people. And they were just like sponges, like receptacles. They were just taking it all in. And even today, I still have major relationships with many of the students. After I was interim head for a year, I went back to the English department, and teaching English is my love as well. Of course, as freshmen, it's a little different type of relationship. I almost have to be in um, the mama role with the ruler.
The
Because
ruler.
this pandemic really did something. Yeah, I mean, it did something to um, the freshmen coming in. They went through something, and so we're still having the remnants of that and having to work that out so that they can be back to where they need to be.
Right. So, as teaching English, and I grew up in a
Hmm.
family of educators. My aunties were, if they weren't in nursing, they were teachers. And I can remember as a
Right.
child coming in and I'm all excited about telling them about, if I went to the fair, the circus, and I'm all excited. And every phrase, they are correcting my English so much so that when I try to get to the end of my story, I forgot what I said. And they're like, "What? Okay, child, what are you trying to tell us?" And I would have forgotten what it was I was trying to say
Right.
because they are correcting my English. So
Yeah.
in this season that we're in, you may have to help me with this. I am
Hmm.
struggling with, I think capitalization is becoming extinct, and punctuation. Need I go on? So
Hmm.
it just disturbs my spirit.
From the onset of texting language has
Yes.
infiltrated our standard English, if you will, and it's major because it has crept into these academic papers. I have a professional editing service as well, and it's the professionals, believe it or not, they do it as well. I don't think that they believe that standard English is as important as it used to be, but it's still used. You need a standard.
You need a
You
standard.
have to have this standard that everyone can identify with so that you can communicate with everyone that you want to identify with. So
Mhm.
it's difficult. It's difficult and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's in my syllabus. Please don't use texting language in your writing, and it still creeps up, and they pay. They pay.
Yeah,
My
they do
students, I'm
dearly.
sorry, yeah, they pay for it.
Yes, and that, and I remember back, being an educator, I remember it's been, I would dare say, almost a decade now when cursive writing came out of the schools, and I was having
Yeah,
a challenge with the postal service, and one of the things I mentioned, I said, I can imagine you have this generation of new postal workers that are coming up that don't know cursive. And the supervisor on the other end, she said, yeah, that's becoming a challenge. So you got mail they're handling and can't read cursive because it was taken out of the schools about 10 years ago. So
wow.
yeah, so it's, I don't want to get off on these pet peeves, but to your, to your
Yeah,
point, the power of proper use of
yes,
language speaks to where we are when it comes to communication nowadays.
right.
That kind of trickles into to other areas.
It does.
So experience in teaching English,
Yeah.
which I would say would be a natural transition to becoming an author. Share with us a bit about some of what you have written.
It's I write everything. It's funny because I've written screenplays and I often uh, put my screenplays into different writing competitions
Mhm.
and even one in New York, the international competition, I was able to place in the quarterfinals. So I write screenplays, I write stage plays. I've written and directed stage plays that have been performed in 4 different states.
Mhm.
And then I edited and published authors' works. And it's something because people would often call me an author and I would get annoyed. I'm not an author, I'm an
Mhm.
editor. I'm an
Mm.
editor, I'm a publisher, I'm not an author. Did not
Mhm.
think I wanted to write books at all. When you can write screenplays and stage plays, you just write action. It's just action, action, action. You don't have to
Wow.
describe the place. You don't have to, create this extensive dialogue because it's what you see. It's the movements that the watchers are more audience. It's what they watch and want to see. But sometimes people can speak over your life and you don't even realize that's what's going on because I had a harrowing experience, something I had never, ever experienced before. And the way that I was able to work through it was
Mhm.
to write.
Mm.
And I said, God, you really know, you're going to do what God wants you to do
Right.
one way or the other. He's
Mhm.
going to get you where he wants you to be. And I remember when I was going through that experience, I would say, Lord, just tell me what the lesson is. I promise you I will learn that lesson so
Right.
we can move past this. Well, it was to get me to write. And that's exactly what happened. And that was my journey to writing this book,
Excellent. So tell us the title of the book,
The Assistant.
The Assistant, and can you just give us a little snippet of what it is about?
It's about this uh, young, twice grown uh, African American woman, and she's juggling being a preacher's wife and working in higher education. And now she has this new challenge of being in administration that she's never done before, and the challenges that she has to face once she gets into that position. One of the main challenges being her assistant, but then there are others. Once she gets in this position, it starts bumping up against her faithfulness and being faithful to um, her church. And then to add just another whammy, um, there have been some department heads, African American women department heads, who have come up missing. One
Mm.
they found dead in the river. And
Mm.
now Felice is being harassed by the same group that they believe killed these other women.
Oh my God.
Some are still missing. So
Right.
that's the crux.
That's a little bit of twist. And then also, in addition, spiritual wellness. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, okay. I'm kind of unorthodox, I think, when it comes to being a preacher's wife or a first lady. I just want to be called a preacher's wife because I just don't. First lady is fine, but it's not for me because I'm not first in anything. I'm struggling like to be the best Christian that I can be, like everyone else. And sometimes um, we don't want to talk about certain issues as Christians. And the issues that we don't want to talk about are the very issues that are keeping us sick, whether it's mentally or physically. Um, we don't want to talk about those issues. So I'm using this platform to dare talk about these issues that we don't want to talk about. Like one, Zora Neale Hurston said that Black women are the mules of the world,
Mm.
meaning that we carry all the burden. You don't really hear that when you are in a church setting, that women, Black women specifically, are the mules of the world, that we carry these burdens. We don't talk about that. So that's something I want to reach out and say, hey, we carry everybody's burden, but Jesus Christ says that even our burdens need to be laid at his feet. So we need to delve into some self-care,
Some
right?
self-care. So
Yeah.
how can the audience stay connected with you on your journey and learn more?
I do have a website, cmchelenor.com. Same as my social media platforms, cmchelenor. I do blog once a week through my spiritual wellness page, and you'll see those mainly on Facebook and then, of course, on my website. And those are the absolute best ways to
Stay connected.
contact me.
Excellent, excellent, because you have so many wonderful streams of
Yeah.
knowledge going on that can really inspire, can encourage, can empower, as we could all continue this journey called life. So thank you so much for
Mhm.
joining us on the journey. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this episode. We thank each and every one of you for tuning in or listening. Our underwriters, we thank you for your continued support of my journey with Paula G. Make sure you connect with us, my website, paulagvoice.com, across social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Paula G Voice. And I leave you with this, as I always do, that the greatest conversation you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, embrace the journey.
Praise the Lord. My name is Dr. Roosevelt Robinson Jr., and I just self-published a book entitled God's Favor, My Wife. This book was prophesied by my apostle many years ago that said, I will write this book and it will bless many. I want you to go pick you up a copy. This book will inspire you, encourage you, and bless your soul. If you're seeking for salvation, if you're seeking for a closer walk with God, if you're looking for ideas for your youth ministry, if you're looking for that husband or searching for that husband or wife that God has promised you or that you desire, this book will inspire you, encourage you, and help you on your journey with God. Go to barnesandnoble.com, that's bn.com, or amazon.com, and pick you up a copy. I guarantee it will bless you. I have shared my experience and my testimony of how I met my wife and we got married, and how I have gained favor down through the years being married to my wife. Be blessed.